Every morning, you wake up and you make a choice. It's a choice more fundamental than what you will eat or what you will wear. You choose your identity for the day. Will you be the victor, the one who acts upon the world? Or will you be the victim, the one the world acts upon? Most people make this choice unconsciously, and their unconscious choice day after day is to be the victim. Today, we break that pattern. For the next few minutes, we are not going to talk about fleeting motivation. We are going to architect a new way of thinking. I'm going to reveal 7 hidden patterns of the victim mindset, 7 subtle ways you are choosing weakness over strength, chains over freedom. These are the patterns that sabotage your mental fortitude and keep you trapped in a cycle of frustration and helplessness. But I won't just show you the prison. I will hand you the key. By the end of our time together, you will not only spot these traps in your own mind and in the actions of others, but you will have a precise, practical blueprint for how to escape them once and for all. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This is the territory we will be exploring. The victim mentality is a self-sabotaging belief that life is simply happening to you. It's a narrative where you are the passive character, tossed about by the winds of circumstance, the whims of other people, and the cruelties of fate. Now, let's be clear. True victimization is real. There are injustices in this world, and people suffer from events far outside their control. We do not deny this reality. But the victim mentality is a chosen response to that reality. It is the decision to remain on the ground after you've been knocked down. What we are here to do is learn to stand up. We will dissect 7 patterns of this mindset, and for each one, I will give you a daily practice of ownership. This is the blueprint for building what the Stoics called the inner citadel, a fortress of the mind that cannot be breached by external chaos. This is how you forge an iron mind. The first and most common pattern is what I call external blame addiction. This is the habit of outsourcing responsibility for your life. The economy is bad, so my business is failing. My boss is a tyrant, so I can't advance in my career. My childhood was difficult, so I am destined to have broken relationships. It's the traffic's fault I'm late. It's the algorithm's fault my work isn't seen. This pattern is seductive because it absolves you of all responsibility. If it's not your fault, you don't have to do the hard work of changing. You get to be the righteous aggrieved party. But the price of that righteousness is your power. I remember my early days in the tech industry. I was leading a team developing a new piece of software we were certain would dominate the market. We poured 2 years and millions of dollars into it. When we launched, the response was silence. It was a catastrophic failure. My immediate gut reaction was to blame. I blamed the marketing team for a weak launch strategy. I blamed my lead engineers for missing a key feature a competitor had. I blamed the market for being too short-sighted to see our vision. For weeks, I was a storm of anger and resentment, pointing fingers everywhere but at myself. I had made myself a victim of my own project. It was my mentor at the time, a man far wiser than I, who sat me down. He didn't offer sympathy. He asked me a simple question. "Cassian, which of those factors were inside your circle of control? The marketing plan? I had signed off on it. The feature list? I had finalized it. The market research? I had commissioned and interpreted it. The failure wasn't in the stars, it was in my strategy, my oversight, and my arrogance. That was a bitter pill to swallow, but it was also the most liberating moment of my career. The moment I accepted responsibility, I regained my power to act. I could now analyze my mistakes, learn from them, and create a better strategy for the next venture. This is the core of the Stoic dichotomy of control, taught by the freed slave Epictetus. He argued that some things are up to us, and some things are not. Our judgments, our impulses, our actions, these are up to us. The economy, the actions of others, our reputation, these are not. The victim focuses all his energy on what he cannot control, becoming exhausted and bitter. The victor focuses his energy exclusively on what he can control. So here is your ownership practice. The morning control audit. Every morning, before you check your phone or engage with the world, take out a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On one side, list the challenges you expect to face today. On the other side, list the things you actually control in relation to those challenges. You don't control the traffic, but you control what time you leave. You don't control your client's final decision, but you control the quality of your presentation. You don't control a colleague's mood, but you control your response to it. Your task for the day is to focus 100% of your energy on your side of the ledger. Disregard the rest. Are you defining your life by what has happened to you, or by how you have chosen to respond? Where in your life right now are you giving away your power by blaming something or someone else? The second pattern is the art of catastrophic storytelling. This is the mental habit of taking a single negative event, a setback, a rejection, a mistake, and spinning it into an epic tragedy. The mind becomes a movie director specializing in horror films where you are the star victim. You don't just lose a sale, you tell yourself, "I'm a failure, my business is doomed, and I'll end up bankrupt." You don't just have a difficult conversation with your partner, you convince yourself, "This relationship is broken. I'm unlovable, and I'll always be alone." This isn't just seeing the glass as half empty, it's seeing the glass as shattered on the floor, with no hope of ever holding water again. This narrative feels profound, but it's a form of self-indulgence that paralyzes you. I mentored a young woman a few years ago, a brilliant graphic designer named Sarah. She had her own small agency and had just pitched her biggest potential client yet. The work she did for the pitch was incredible, and she was the clear frontrunner. A week later, she got the call. They went with a larger, more established firm. Sarah was devastated. When we spoke, she wasn't just disappointed, she was apocalyptic. "This is it, Cassian," she told me. "This was my one shot and I blew it. It proves I'm not ready. I'm an imposter. My agency is a joke." She had taken a single data point, losing one contract, and extrapolated it into a story of complete and utter failure. My job was not to cheer her up. It was to make her a better editor of her own stories. I asked her, "Sarah, what is another way to tell this story?" At first she resisted, but I pushed. "Is it possible," I asked, "that this story is about a small boutique agency that competed so fiercely it nearly beat a national giant? Is it a story about validating that your work is top tier? Is it a story about discovering a weakness in your pitch, perhaps your scale, that you can now address?" We reframed the event not as a verdict on her worth, but as valuable, if painful, market feedback. The catastrophe became a lesson. That shift in narrative allowed her to move from paralysis to action. She ended up creating a strategic partnership with another small agency to bid on larger contracts, and today her business is thriving. This is a direct application of the Stoic principle of amor fati, a love of one's fate. It doesn't mean you passively accept bad things. It means you choose to see everything that happens, both the pleasant and the painful, as fuel. The obstacle is not in the way, the obstacle is the way. The catastrophic storyteller sees a roadblock and declares the journey over. The practitioner of amor fati sees the same roadblock and begins looking for the materials to build a bridge. Here is your ownership practice. The evening story. Reframe. Each night before you sleep, identify one thing that went wrong during the day. A frustration, a setback, an error. Now consciously rewrite the story of that event. Don't lie to yourself or engage in toxic positivity. Instead, find the lesson, the opportunity, or the hidden gift. My project was criticized because I received valuable feedback to make my work stronger. I had a tense argument because I discovered a point of friction that needs to be resolved for the relationship to grow. You are taking the raw data of your day and deliberately choosing the most empowering interpretation. What story are you telling yourself about your biggest challenge right now? Is that story serving you, or is it imprisoning you? The third pattern is a particularly modern poison: comparison martyrdom. This is the act of using other people's success as evidence of your own failure. You scroll through social media or look at a competitor's achievements not for inspiration, but for self-flagellation. Every promotion someone else gets is a confirmation that you are stuck. Every happy family photo is proof of your own loneliness. Every successful business launch underscores your own stagnation. The comparison martyr doesn't just feel envy, they weaponize that envy against themselves, building a case for why they are uniquely doomed to fail. They suffer under the weight of a success they haven't even pursued, simply because someone else has it. Early in my career, there was another young entrepreneur, let's call him David. We started our companies around the same time. We were both driven, both hungry, but David's trajectory seemed meteoric. He was featured in magazines, secured massive venture capital funding, and seemed to be living the life I was striving for. I, meanwhile, was bootstrapping my company, working 80-hour weeks and facing constant uncertainty. Every time I saw a headline about David, it felt like a physical blow. I would think, he got the funding I deserved. He has the connections I lack. The universe has clearly chosen its winner, and it isn't me. I was martyring myself on the altar of his success, and it was draining my will to even compete. The shift happened when I realized I was comparing his highlight reel to my behind-the-scenes struggle. I was comparing my Chapter 1 to his Chapter 10. More importantly, I was ignoring my own unique journey and advantages. My bootstrapped company had no board of directors to answer to. I had complete autonomy. My slow, organic growth meant I had a fiercely loyal customer base built on trust, not hype. I wasn't David, and my path wasn't his path. My company's success would have to be built on my strengths, not his. The moment I stopped looking sideways and started looking forward from where I stood, everything changed. I stopped being a martyr to his story and started being the author of my own. The Stoics would argue that this is a fundamental error in judgment. They teach us to focus only on our own path, our own virtues, and our own actions. To be disturbed by another's success is to give a stranger power over your own peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to return to his own inner citadel, to his own guiding principles, and not be distracted by the noise and fortunes of others. Your race is with yourself yesterday, not with someone else today. Here is your ownership practice, the gratitude inventory. This is not about generic positive thinking, it is a strategic audit of your unique assets. Every time you feel the sting of comparison, you must immediately stop and list 3 unique advantages you possess. These aren't just skills, they can be experiences, relationships, or resources. Perhaps you have a deep expertise in a niche field. Perhaps you have a strong support system of friends or family. Perhaps a past failure taught you a lesson your competitor has yet to learn. Write them down. Feel their weight. This practice pulls you out of the fantasy of someone else's life and grounds you in the reality of your own considerable resources. Whose success are you using as a weapon against yourself? What unique advantages do you possess that you are currently taking for granted? The fourth pattern is one of the most subtle and manipulative: helplessness performance. This is the unconscious, or sometimes conscious, act of appearing powerless to avoid responsibility or to elicit sympathy from others. The person engaging in this behavior uses phrases like, "I can't," "I have no choice," or "my hands are tied." They broadcast their weakness as a defensive shield. If they are helpless, then no one can expect them to take difficult actions, make hard decisions, or be held accountable for a lack of results. It is a strategic retreat from ownership disguised as a plea for help. In psychology, this is related to the concept of secondary gain, where a person derives an unconscious benefit from a negative situation. The benefit here is the avoidance of effort and risk. I once managed a department where one of the team leaders, Tom, was a master of this performance. Whenever a challenging project came up, or when his team's performance lagged, his response was always a sigh and a detailed explanation of why the situation was impossible. "I'd love to meet that deadline," he'd say, "but my team is just too junior." Or, "I can't implement that new system because we don't have the budget for training." He presented himself as a captain, valiantly trying to steer a ship that was already sinking. For a while, it worked. He received sympathy, lower expectations, and a lighter workload. But the cost was immense. His team never grew, he never developed as a leader, and eventually his credibility eroded completely. He had traded his power for pity. The antidote was to shift the focus from his feelings of helplessness to his capacity for action, no matter how small. I stopped accepting his litany of constraints. Instead, I would ask him, "Tom, given all of those challenges, what is one single thing you can do today to move this forward by 1%? This question reframed the entire dynamic. It didn't deny his difficulties, but it denied him the comfort of inaction. Slowly, by focusing on minuscule, daily actions, he began to untangle himself from the narrative of helplessness. He discovered that his hands were never truly tied, he had simply chosen not to make a fist. The Stoics held that virtue is found only in action. A thought, an intention, a feeling. These have no moral weight until they are expressed through a willed act. To talk about what you would do if only things were different is a waste of the only resource you truly have, the present moment and your ability to act within it. Acting helpless is the ultimate abdication of your Stoic duty to engage with the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Here is your ownership practice, the daily action commitment. At the start of each day, identify one important goal you have been avoiding because it feels overwhelming or impossible. Then, commit to taking one infinitesimally small physical step toward that goal. You don't have to feel motivated. You don't have to feel confident. You just have to do it. If you want to write a book, your commitment isn't to write a chapter, it's to write one sentence. If you need to fix a broken relationship, it's to draft one text message. This practice builds momentum and systematically dismantles the illusion of helplessness by providing concrete proof of your own agency. In what area of your life are you performing helplessness? What is the one tiny action you can commit to today that would shatter that performance? The fifth pattern is the past prison mentality. This is allowing old wounds, past failures, or bygone grievances to dictate your present and your future. The person trapped in this mindset lives in a mental jail cell where the bars are forged from memory. Every new opportunity is viewed through the lens of a past betrayal. Every new relationship is tainted by the ghost of a previous heartbreak. Every risk is measured against the pain of a past failure. Their narrative is dominated by what happened to me back then, and as a result, they are unable to create what I will do right now. The past is no longer a source of lessons, it is a life sentence. I worked with a man, a seasoned executive in his 50s, who was completely shackled by a business deal that had gone wrong 20 years prior. He had been betrayed by a partner and lost a significant amount of money. Since that day, he had operated from a position of deep-seated mistrust. He micromanaged his employees, refused to enter into any new partnerships, and turned down countless opportunities for collaboration that could have transformed his business. He would constantly recount the story of his betrayal, each telling reinforcing the bars of his prison. He believed he was being prudent and protecting himself, but in reality, he was strangling his own potential and the potential of everyone around him. His past was costing him his future. Our work together was not about forgetting the past. It was about changing his relationship to it. I asked him, "Is the memory of that betrayal serving you as a wise counselor, or is it acting as a paranoid tyrant?" A counselor offers advice you can choose to take or leave. A tyrant issues commands you must obey. His memory had become a tyrant. The goal was to demote it back to counselor. We had to acknowledge the lesson. Due diligence is crucial, without allowing the emotional trauma to make every future decision for him. This is the essence of Stoic present-moment focus. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Do not let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Do not try to picture everything bad that could possibly happen. Stick with the situation at hand." The person in the past prison is crushed by life as a whole, by the accumulated weight of everything that has ever happened to them. The practice is to constantly bring your attention back to the only point in time where you have any power, right now. Recognize, reframe, respond. This is not a one-time fix. This is a daily discipline. This is the work of a lifetime. It is how you systematically dismantle the prison of victimhood, brick by brick, and build an unbreakable inner citadel in its place. A mind that is not swayed by chaos, a spirit that is not broken by adversity. Now, I have a challenge for you. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is real power. I want you to look back at the 7 patterns we've discussed. Which one of them is your biggest trap? Be honest with yourself. Where does the victim mentality have its strongest hold on you? Share your biggest victim-to-victor breakthrough, or the pattern you are committing to overcome in the comments below. Reading the experiences of others is a powerful reminder that this is a shared human struggle. And for your own sake, choose one of the daily ownership practices we covered. Just one. Commit to practicing it every day for the next 7 days. Don't just think about it. Do it. Then, come back here and report your results. If this blueprint for mindset architecture is what you've been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not here for fleeting hype, we are here to build. Remember, you have more power than you realize. The Stoics knew this 2,000 years ago, and it is just as true today. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Realize it, build your iron mind, stand unbreakable.